And the minute I understood is that if something has eyes, it has a brain. If it has a brain, it has a nervous system. A nervous system, it feels pain. And if it feels pain, it does not want to die. And honestly, I believe food is one of the biggest forms of activism, because if I can win people over with my food, and then you can have that conversation. You can have that adult talk to be like, you know what, you enjoyed this. This was beets and brown rice, and it looked like a burger, and it tasted like a burger, and it had everything like that. And there was no fat, and there was good fiber and stuff like this. So why do we need to eat that beef if we can do this with a plant-based diet?
À-bas-le-ciel.
We just came out of a meeting dealing with veganism and municipal politics. So there's a local vegan opinion leader here, Jordan Reichert. He's running for city council. And there was a lot of talk about how to take, I guess I'd say, an animal rights message rather than a vegan message, and get it into a form that will win votes at City Hall. So that's a topic for another video. But at this meeting, I met Randy. So Randy it's a public meeting. We had about 20, 25 people there. He just put up his hand to speak a little bit, but I learned a lot of interesting things about him just from the few things he mentioned about himself. So one of the things, as soon as I saw him, I could tell he lifts a lot of weight. I just wondered, I wonder if he goes to the same gym. So I could tell he was some kind of bodybuilder or weightlifter. You mentioned that you had a history of about 10 years of your life you felt were wasted with drug use. Yes. And at some point, about 2 years ago, you got into veganism, and then from just veganism into vegan activism. And now this is a bigger and bigger part of your life. And your bodybuilding, health and fitness interest is actually spun off into a business interest also. Yeah?
Yeah, 100%.
This is the kind of guy I want to talk to. All right, great.
So I guess you want a little bit of a background, or?
First question is, can you remember the first time you heard the word vegan? Because at some point you didn't know what the word meant, right?
When I heard the word vegan, it was obviously because I've been lifting for many, many years. Right. And when I heard the term vegan, it was like somebody that doesn't consume animal products, so no meat. So as a bodybuilder, I was like, how are you going to get your protein? That's the infamous question, right? It's ridiculous. And I kind of laughed because I'm like, it just seemed outrageous that somebody could live on solely on eating plants. So the first time I actually heard and understood the word veganism, I thought it was a joke.
Yeah.
Well,
right.
It was. To be honest.
Then when did that shift? What challenged that assumption? I met people also who thought, the first time they heard of veganism, oh, that would be great if only it wasn't impossible. Some people thought that way about it. Too bad it's unattainable.
I guess a little bit of background about myself is I did suffer with addictions for about a decade, and I was living in Calgary. And I more or less wanted to get a clean start to my life. So I moved to Prince Rupert, and in the meantime, my ex-wife and I, we'd separated. And when I kind of got my life together, she's like, all right, let's go try to give this another go now that you're sober and got your life together. In the meantime, she'd adopted a vegan lifestyle. So when we ended up getting back together, I thought, you know what, I'll eat the food that you're gonna cook because I just want to try to make this transition a little bit easier. And then I was like, wow, there was such a different taste of palates. There was beans and lentils and chickpeas and falafel and all these kind of different things that I was just chicken and rice, fish and rice, chicken rice. Yeah. And I used to eat 2 chickens a day. That was my rule. I used to eat 2 chickens a day because I had to get my protein, right? Which is just ridiculous in hindsight now. Right. But then she's like, and I questioned. I was like, why did you choose veganism? She's like, okay, well, there's a few shows. Would you be interested in watching? So we watched Cowspiracy and we watched Earthlings. And it was, March 8th, 2 years ago was my birthday. And that was the last time I took a bite of meat. But about a week, I'd watched the Cowspiracy and the Earthlings, and I went vegan for about a week. And it was my birthday, and I'm like, I'm going to treat myself. I'm going to go eat a big Bronto rib, because that's what men do. Men eat big chunks of meat. And I had a bite, and I was like, fuck this. And I just put it down. And I said,
moment of truth.
And I said that was it. And from that point, I went 100% vegan. And then when we ended up separating for the final time, I had come to Victoria, and I heard it was a very vegan-friendly community, and I wanted to do everything I could to support animal activism. And at that point, I was working construction, I was eating vegan, I was still getting bigger, stronger, I was feeling healthier, and I was still putting on muscle in the gym. I became a personal trainer in the meantime too. And then when I moved here, then I started to become more involved, and that's how I met Jordan, and that's how I started to get involved in this community. And then it still fueled my bodybuilding career and my passion in that. In this year, I actually qualified to compete at the national level. I got 5th place at the Popeyes Fall Classic, which is in Vancouver, which is the biggest bodybuilding show of the year in BC, and they did it all on 100% vegan diet, and it was a super competitive class. So now, when it comes to my business and my thing is people were always following my food. They're like, man, your food looks so good and you're in such good shape. And they're like, you know, would I just be able to pay you and you just drop food off of my house? Right. And I was like I said, after about 500 people hit you up on your inbox, you're like, why don't I turn this into a career? So I talked to a few friends. They're like, we'd help fund this.
I just mentioned, he showed me the photos on his phone of the food he's preparing. It does look very impressive.
Good.
I didn't see the macros, but I take it this is bodybuilder-oriented food. That is, we've done a lot of vegan restaurant food videos. We're looking at going to food services ourselves. But at first glance, at least on the face, I mean, look, put it this way. I can see right away he's got a competitive product with a significant market niche. Significant even in a town the size of Victoria. The first thought in my mind is you'd make so much more money in Los Angeles. But be that as it may.
Yes.
Maybe this could be a warm-up for our franchise in Los Angeles.
Well, and also with my background, I became certified by the International Sports Sciences Association. So I am allowed to give nutritional advice. So I really understand.
So just because, is your certification as a sports therapist or as a sports nutritionist?
It's a personal trainer.
It's a personal training. Okay, good.
But it's very in depth. It's not a weekend course. It's like a 900-page book, and it took me a month to write the final exam, just as practical stuff. Like it's it's one of the better personal training without actually going into like a post-secondary.
Right.
So I understand macros. I understand science. I've applied it to myself. I walk around at almost 200 pounds at under 10% body fat year round on a vegan diet because I understand how food with protein, fats, and carb ratios and carb cycling and everything like this. So what I want to do to offer to Victoria is I want to offer a specific macro-based food vegan delivery service. So if somebody you have your fitness goals, you say, you know what, Randy, I want to get down to this percent body fat. Here's how many times a week I work out. Here's my age, my height, my background. I can be like, you know what, I'll do the math because it's simple science, and I will prepare that food macro-based for you that you say, you know what, you just eat that food, you continue doing what you're doing, and you will get results. Now,
look, one reason I'm going to ask for this guy's email is people ask me those questions, and I always say, I'm not an expert, I'm not a trainer, I'm not a nutritionist, I can tell you what I do, but come on, so it is useful to have someone you refer to, because exactly what you're talking about. And I think another thing, there are a lot of health gurus on the internet, but I think what they lack is a sensitivity to the fact that advice has to be relative to the particular person's life. Like if they're stressed out with a full-time job and 2 kids, how many hours really can they work out? What's a diet that works in that?
Everything plays factor. How much are you sleeping? What's your stress level in life? What's your activity level? And what's your hydration? Are you drinking enough water? There's so many. It's more than just food. It's a big piece of the pie.
But fundamentally, diet and exercise. I am constantly avoiding giving that advice, and this may be someone I refer people to.
And I haven't come up with an exact company brand, but being in a case like this, you'd be like, I don't know. If somebody asks you a question, you'd be like, I don't know, why don't you talk to the vegan guy? So I think I'm literally the company name. I think I'm going to call it the vegan guy. Just because lots of people, I'm literally one of the go-to people when it comes to nutritional advice because, like I said, I am qualified, I am living proof, and I'm a product of my own knowledge. And so you can decide to talk to the vegan guy and go from there. So I think it's kind of catchy.
Copywriting a name in Canada costs $450, just so that you know. If you want to copyright the name, do the paperwork now.
Well, we might have to get that one up anyway. But until I actually get a company branded. But I think
someone else steals the idea, I'm happy for them. Okay.
We'll talk about this later.
Look, I wanted to come back to you mentioned, you did in effect get the idea from your ex-wife or ex-girlfriend. A lot of men stereotypically are in that situation. So Melissa, holding the camera here, her ex-boyfriend, he basically just became vegan because of you. When you broke up with him, he went back to eating meat 5 minutes later. So, I just say, if that's, who you are, there are people who become vegan because they were in a car accident. There are people who become vegan because they had a heart attack. I think there's no shame in your game. No matter what it's what you do after that. It's once you know, it's once you have that. I think this is an example of someone. But the level of activism and engagement, stuff that was mentioned. You've been doing Cube of Truth demonstrations. You've been doing.
Oh, absolutely.
Apart from the food business side of it, this is somebody who got really passionate about veganism, which is rare for anyone, but it's especially rare for people who were dragged into it by their girlfriend, which is a bit of a stereotype that exists.
And my buddy and I, his name's Mike Downey, and he's been on the island for a long time, and he's got a story about the city kicked him out of city limits for his potbelly pigs. So actually, Mike, and he's a 240-pound, 6'3" guy, and I did his contest meal prep too, and he qualified for nationals as well on vegan diet. We actually have a Facebook page called Mike and Randy Warriors of Compassion. So we even have a company brand that we literally are Warriors of Compassion. We do everything we can for activism and to show people that you can be a good, healthy, fit young guy on a vegan diet. You don't need to do it. And the minute I understood is that if something has eyes, it has a brain. If it has a brain, it has a nervous system. A nervous system, it feels pain. And if it feels pain, it does not want to die. So who are we to go take that animal's life? No, it's my choice to eat meat. Well, what about the animal's choice? Just because we don't hear their voice doesn't mean they don't have a right. So that's where and my passion for food, and honestly I believe food is one of the biggest forms of activism, because if I can win people over with my food, and then you can have that conversation, you can have that adult talk to be like, you know what, you enjoyed this was beets and brown rice, and it looked like a burger, and it tasted like a burger, and it had everything like that, and there was no fat, and there was good fiber and stuff like this. So why do we need to eat that beef if we can do this with a plant-based diet?
Yep. I kill my enemies. I don't kill home sounds. That's my policy. I mean, it's comes out of conversation. I'm a guy who comes out of politics, and the cow never crossed me the wrong way, where I felt I had to sell things with violence.
But yeah, that's why we're about to get into vegan baking.
Right. Well, there's no way. This is the last thing I want to mention. The video is great, but we don't want this to be an hour-long discussion.
Yeah.
Great. But I was going to say, so just now in this meeting we had, I introduced myself as kind of a politics guy. And you can see people are always a little bit cold on that. No one's all that happy to hear, oh really, you have a degree in political science, you know a lot about elections and how to run a campaign. Nobody's, even though that's what that meeting's about, nobody's that happy. The reaction from that room would have been totally different if I said, hi guys, I'm enrolled to learn baking. I love bread and pastry, and about this time next year I'm going to have my own baking business, and you guys can all sign up and would have been a totally different reaction. Let me say, you're going to see this too, because you've had experience with street activism now, with this kind of, local political organizing.
Yeah.
And it's totally different. I mean, you say, yes, food is activism, but you're going to see just how warmer and more receptive it is when you present people to people as, I do food. Everyone's much more positive about that. And then the politics kind of come in through the side door, So, standing on the street wearing a mask,
and I always wear like a tight muscle shirt, and like you guys can't tell under this, like I'm super lean. So
I can tell.
So people come up to me and they're just like, they're almost antagonistic right off the hop.
Yeah,
because they're like,
it's a scary muscle-bound dude in a mask.
Man, I'm super chill. I'm super calm, and I'm just like, but it creates that like, how are you big? And and it almost it helps too, because it does create that conversation.
Right. So no, but I think you're going to see it's a very different conversation. I mean, food services has service in this. That it's like your relationship with your grandmother. Hopefully, unless you have a horrible grandmother. Sorry, but it's that you are feeding people, you're providing service for people, and the fact that they may think of it first and foremost as healthy food that happens to be vegan. I mean, when you're reaching out to people who are non-vegan, or they may just think of it in your case as convenient food, or workout food, or whatever. It can be branded in a lot of different ways. And then at some point they start thinking about those overwhelming other aspects, like, hey guys, every day try to visualize what 1 million slaughtered pigs produce in terms of blood and poo going into the rivers and oceans. In terms, let's scale it up a bit and think a little bit beyond the plate. Anyway, this is the first day I've met Randy. I'm really happy to. This is for me an exciting find. And look, Victoria's a small town.
It's super small town. It is like, it's big city, but it's so small town.
I'd be very happy to collaborate with you, and maybe between the two of us we can make a really big
100%, my friend.
That's a wrap.
À-bas-le-ciel.